Hey there, this is one of the rare videos that go onto this channel. It's a video of the Ardock Railway, well, Ardock Model-Railway Mark IV, and it's now in a sort of complete condition, which is quite rare for my model railways. It's fully scenic, to the extent I'm quite happy anyways, and it works sort of electrically, so ultimately thought I'd better put it up on YouTube for prosperity, so that future me can watch this and sort of look at it and go, oh my lord, my modelling techniques were terrible in those days. So let's have a look a little bit more closely at it. We'll start at this end. First of all, we've got the Metcalf kit, which forms the station building. The shed, locomotive shed, with workshop on the back. Quite a nice building. I quite like it. If this layout, as I suspect it will, be dismantled at some point, obviously in the dismantling process I hope to keep this. This is a good building and I like it. As I say, completely Metcalf, bits of paper, cardboard. We'll point out that it was all put together with tape rather than glue, which is not how it's designed to be, and therefore it's a bit shoddy in places, but hey, it does a job. It's been dirtied up with paint. This bit here is all... You can focus now. Okay. This is paint, literally just dabbed on. Then we've got the coal stage, which has been designed so that you've got this lower part here, and the higher up part here, so you come out of the cab, and then up the ramp, and then shovel into the bunker of the locomotive, or in the tender of the locomotive there. It's obviously designed for locomotives facing like this terrier here, but engines like this, what they'll have to do is obviously back up and then pull forward slightly. This is the cattle dock. The specifics of the cattle dock is this is some of that. It's the material stuck on paper, comes in big rolls, and basically glued onto a platform, which I'll talk about the platforms in a minute. Hornby building, nice little shed really, and obviously a couple of cows. Might rain soon considering the number of cows who are sitting down. Head shunt I quite like, it's on a curve. It means you can fit longer locomotives in. It's a reference point, you can fit the manor, the Isle of Wight manor, on the curve quite happily. Fits in the head shunt with some space to spare, so that's pretty good. Station building is not really the station building I wanted originally. It's not the station building I wanted initially, rather, but it looks quite good. And again, I'd hope to kind of save that maybe for the future. It is quite a nice country station building. Got a little corresponding building for another platform if I wanted a dual track station. There's a W.H. Smith's and Son stall there, which I quite like, and obviously the station sign. The Ardock signal box, as it's become, which I love to bits. Hoping that focuses, but it probably won't. With fishing wire used for the telegraph poles. The hillside, which I'll back up for, is made out of paper mache with brown paint not very well applied over the top, and then scatter material. I would better apply the brown paint so there's no white spots in the future, but it looks quite good. And actually, the further you go away, the more like a hillside it becomes. The platforms themselves, this one here and this one here, are made out of Jenga blocks on the edges and then cardboard over the top, and then obviously painted. It's a very effective way of doing platforms because the Jenga blocks are quite cheap. You can get them for £1 in the pound shop, provided they're the right size. And if they're not, you can sort of lay them on their sides or whatever. And they do nice edging, and I mean the whole thing is not as hard as rock, but pretty darn solid. So I also feel that it's sort of providing some of the structural integrity for the entire board. So I would do platforms like that again. At this end, the other big structure, of course, on the railway is this bridge, another Metcalfe kit. Really is the worst Metcalfe kit of the lot. It really isn't that good, to be honest, and it wasn't the right bridge to be chosen, and I really should have probably scratch built a bridge, to be frankly honest, or gone for a tunnel, but who knows. I wanted a bridge, meant I could have the bus. Coming down into the goods yard area, this is all not done particularly well. It's all cardboard, and in future I would probably do polyfiller or another method. Basically, I would research some better methods, because obviously, I mean, this looks terrible, if I'm frankly honest, and this bit came out. So, yeah. Got some sheds and a ground body, quite like that. And the signal posts, I'm more happy with them than you might think. But obviously for the future, I would do new ones that look similar but slightly less shoddy, basically. I'm never really going to buy semaphore signals like that again. In fact, it's probably worth saying that I've got these little signals as well, which I'm very happy with. Ultimately, I don't want these little signals here to be movable, so I'm quite happy with them as they are. But these ones can, so these can go up and down, corresponding. Then obviously lower quadrant. I quite like lower quadrant. I think they look better, but obviously upper quadrant does, operationally is more safe in the snow. That is. Very important functional feature I forgot to mention is this pad, which lowers and rises. The reason being is obviously at this point in my career, and I suspect for the considerable future, I'm trying to zoom in on it, use tension locks, which are the standard tension locks you find on most locomotives and AA gauge. So that enables me to uncouple things at that point, which allows me then to run round here. So it comes in, uncouples, and goes on to the head shunt, and then comes down. The wall here is made out of Lego and cardboard. You can actually see some of the Lego there and in there, with cardboard on top, cardboard on the sides. It's not the best, but it suffices. Obviously, the scatter ground material here, I painted it the baseball green rather than in brown. It's just simpler, and it meant that you had less chance of there being this sort of look, and it varied the look as well, so you have more green down here on the flat than you would up there on the hillside. The trees are basically just the woodland scenic trees that you normally get out of the box. I've got 2 in a box, so you have 2 trees. A little Ardock Railway sign which my mum got made for me, which is very nice. She did have to correct the K. It was a H originally, or an H, or H. I think it's a H. I think of it as a H at the moment. But she put this little pen mark here, which looks pretty dull. I mean, on this camera you can't really tell the difference, which means that it's a K, because on all the other signage, as you can probably tell, it says Ardock with a K. The baseboard itself is the old baseboard, which we've had for 4 years at this point, 4.5 years or something like that, cut in half, and it's not very good if I'm frankly honest, but it's alright. But yeah, so that I'm content with for this layout, but it won't be used again. Once this layout's decommissioned, it won't be used ever again. Locomotives, quickly talk about, we've got a Manor class, which was bought in the Isle of Wight, Hawk, who was the first ever engine I got. We've got a Terrier here who's currently Stepney, but I'm modifying to be freshwater. Got another Terrier in there, there he is, which is going to be modified to be Stepney. We have, I'm going to get the cover out of the way, Edward, Reginald, who is the diesel. I've got a 2P who I call Eric. We've got the B12 in there, and obviously we've got Corris, who's the 3MT, and we've got Oliver over there, who obviously needs to be reliveried and renamed something else. And in carriages wise, we've got all sorts of things, which I suspect I'll have for quite a number of years to come, because carriages are pretty good to keep. Don't really think there's much more to talk about, to be honest. Oh, track work, should have mentioned. Most of it are Hornby points. These are all Hornby points, standard points, and they're all layovers from previous layouts. Most of the track work is layover from previous layouts, but the one exception, the one thing that was bought for this layout, is this point here, which used to be a Hornby point, but then it was discovered this thing over here, this manor, couldn't get round it. So we had to cut open the railway line and put in a Pico point, which is about 5,000 times better, more reliable, looks better, all of it. I've got another one over there, and it's just amazing. So yeah, I'm planning on keeping using Pico stuff for quite some time. This is Pico track here. All sort of slightly curved stuff is Pico. The straight stuff and the sort of tight bend stuff, like this bit here, and this bit here, that's all Hornby layover track. It works. I mean, it does the job, but in future it will all be Pico flexi track and Pico points. I really don't want to use Hornby stuff anymore because it's just not worth it. The Pico stuff is so much better in terms of quality and is at the same price, and it's made in Britain. What more can you want? Not that I don't mind things being made in China. I have no problems in buying locomotives from Hornby. I've got no problems in buying Bachmann locomotives, both of which are made in China. But, you know, at the end of the day, if I'm going to get my track from somewhere and it's a good quality, even better that it's in Britain, frankly honest. The wiring, as you can see, there is one set of wires, is literally two wires there, two wires at this end, and they go behind the scenes, which I'm actually get underneath the layout. Now look at my mucky boots there, and look at the layout from the other side. You can see that we use a Bachmann controller. This links into what you can see basically is a switch. So you can switch the switch, and that sends power either to that end of the railway, to that end, or to that end, which basically means you can either have power from this end going into these sidings, or you can have power going from that end into these sidings. So it's a choice, and ultimately I'm quite happy with this sort of setup. It's really tested my soldering skills. The way that I solder onto rail here mostly is I've soldered onto a fish plate, which then gets put in. It's the same with the ones at this end, just because I can't solder onto track very well at this point in my life. My soldering skills are not that good at this point. There are loads of little details that I could point out, you know, bits of cardboard used in places like here, and you know, bits of shrubbery and so on. Overall, I'm quite impressed with the general look of the railway, and my family are very impressed with it. Watching Bake Off at the moment. Yes, should say this is the 25th of December 2016, so puts a date stamp on it. But yes, so without really much further ado, I think I'm going to sign off because I'm getting up to the 15-minute mark. Let's get back under the layout and do the final view. Oh, so yes, that's your layout. No fiddle yard, really. It's a temporary one that's literally attached on. But yes, so without further ado, This is the Ardock Model-Railway Mark IV. Look forward to seeing the Mark V, Mark VI, Mark VII, all of them. And maybe one day we might actually get one or two of them into the exhibition rooms. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope I never watch this, to be frankly honest, because it will probably be an embarrassment 3 model railways down the line. Goodbye.